Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Crime in Court. I'm Heather and I am here to give you another Murdoch update. So this is actually in reference to Eric Bland, who, if you're familiar with the Murdoch trial, he actually took the stand. He was one of the key witnesses for the state. He was trying Paul and Alec Murdoch for the boat case. He was representing the family of the girl who unfortunately passed in that boat that night that they were all out drinking. So this is actually an article about Eric Bland, and this is coming from Will Folks at Fitz News again. It seems there might be a little tension between Will Folks and Eric Bland. But anyways, let me go on. Eric Bland, he went on, like, he kind of hit, like, YouTube fame, and he went on and, like, went on to a podcast or whatever. So that's kind of what this is in reference to. All right, so South Carolina attorney could face sanctions for podcast comments. The prominent Palmetto state attorney who co-hosts a popular podcast could face disciplinary action from the South Carolina Bar and the state Supreme Court after assailing the integrity of the judge appointed to hear convicted killer Alec Murdaugh's bid for a new trial. Eric Bland, attorney with the Lexington, South Carolina-based Bland Richer law firm, made disparaging comments about former Chief Justice Jean Toal on a recent episode of the Cup of Justice podcast, which he co-hosts. If you've ever dived deep into the Murdoch cases, you might have heard of Mandy. Oh my gosh, I just had her name in my head and now it slipped. I have to add, I'll add it here. They co-host this together. They co-host the podcast together, and Mandy kind of gets some flack, and her and the other female, who I also can't remember, I'll put that here. They, I can't remember. I have ADHD in my mind, and I go from case to case, and I can't remember all the people all the time. So it's like pulling all these facts out of my head. But anyways, so Mandy Matney and her other co-host, I can't remember. Anyways, so they kind of have been ridiculed by some that they have become very biased, especially after the trial, during the trial. So I don't know. I haven't listened. I'm not saying anything one way or the other. That's just what the word is, podcast wise. So anyways, the Cup of Justice podcast, which he co-hosts, the self-proclaimed jackhammer of justice, challenged Toal's temperament and integrity, going so far as to describe her as a female dog who urinates in the courtroom as a means of marking her territory. Wait, what? Yeah, he said that. Okay. She pees on, quote, she pees on every corner of that courtroom, end quote. Bland said on the show, quote, and you know it when you walk in there, end quote. Yeah, wait, what? He goes on to say, quote, I worry about her temperament. I worry about what procedures are going to be in place. The fact that there was a status conference, and I represent 4 jurors, and I wasn't even told of the status conference, end quote. All right. So there was a status conference going on for Alec Murdoch, which was in regards to the whole new trial thing. Will he get a new trial? Can he, those allegations against Becky Hill. So there must have been like some trial, some status hearing regarding that, and Bland is upset that he wasn't invited to that because he represents 4 of the jurors. But it's my understanding that the jurors don't have a right to have their representation at the status hearing or something like that. So I don't know, maybe it explains it a little more in here. So Bland is referring to a December 21st, 2023 teleconference held by Toal 2 days after South Carolina Chief Justice Donald Beatty tapped her to handle the high-profile Murdoch retrial bid. It was not the official status conference for the hearing, which Toal has set for Tuesday, January 16th. So that's still upcoming at the Richland County Courthouse in downtown Columbia. So it's the date of this recording is January 15th. I'm not sure. This might actually go out on the 16th, so you might be hearing it when the actual hearing is taking place. So the hearing for Murdoch's retrial request has been set for January 29th, also at the Richland County Courthouse. Both of these hearings will be public and live streamed. In addition to questioning the former Chief Justice's temperament, Bland also questioned Toal's integrity on the Cup of Justice podcast. Quote, "She has friends sometimes to reward and enemies to punish, or she has friends to punish and enemies to reward," end quote, he said. So that's kind of, that might be crossing a line of his oath as an attorney. I'm not sure. I don't know how that's going to be looked at. So he has an oath not to speak badly about the court, and she's the court. So he has an oath to uphold. So I'm not so sure, I'm not so sure he should have made those comments, and I bet he's regretting it now. So attorneys we spoke with said Bland's criticisms of Toal were perfectly justified for non-lawyers who may have... Wait, hold on, let me read that again. Attorneys we spoke with said Bland's criticisms of Toal, while perfectly justified for a non-lawyer to say, may have violated the oath of office he took as recorded in the rules governing the practice of law in the Palmetto State. So like I said, he has an oath as a lawyer to not disrespect the court in any way. Specifically, Bland may have violated the portion of his oath in which he pled to, quote, maintain the respect and courtesy due to courts of justice, judicial officers, and those who assist them, end quote. So, I mean, it's clearly written. They also cited the rules of professional conduct, specifically Rule 8.4e, which expressly prohibits attorneys from engaging in conduct, quote, prejudicial to the administration of justice, end quote. They also cited they repeated that paragraph there. Okay. It is unclear whether any formal complaints have been filed against Bland related to his comments on the podcast. Would it matter if they were, though? As we have previously reported, the Palmetto State's attorney's discipline system has plenty of gaps. Ultimately, Murdoch's bid for a new trial hinges not on the pronouncements of attorneys/podcasters, but on allegations that Colleton County Clerk of Court Becky Hill tampered with the jury that found him guilty of the murders of his wife and son. All right, so after a 6-week trial in Walterboro, South Carolina, last winter, Murdoch was convicted on March 2nd, 2023, of killing his wife, 52-year-old Maggie Murdoch, and younger son, 22-year-old Paul Murdoch, on June 7th, 2021, at Moselle. So the unalivings took place on June 7th, 2021, at their Moselle property, and he was convicted March 2nd, 2023. Moselle was the family's hunting property near Islandtown, South Carolina. The following day, March 3rd, he was sentenced to consecutive life terms of those crimes by Circuit Court Judge Clifton Newman. Those sentences are now in jeopardy after Hill was accused of tampering with the jury, ostensibly in order to sell copies of her book Behind the Doors of Justice, which now we're finding out has plagiarized portions of text in it that Becky just sent to her co-author and disguised it as her own, or represented it as her own words. So things have since further unraveled for Hill, who is facing multiple ethics investigations and potential obstruction of justice allegations relating to a criminal inquiry. And we learned about the justice allegation, or the obstruction of justice allegations, when her and her son either threw away or trashed or lost or completely blanked out their phones. What's the word I'm looking for? Reset their phones. So I told you I can't remember words. So one of these, they come to me. I'm just slow at remembering things. Anyways, so yeah, when they reset the phones or said that they lost the phones, that was, they might be facing obstruction of justice allegations. So, worth noting, the jurors represented by Bland are witnesses to the upcoming evidentiary hearing, not parties to it. Only Murdoch and the state of South Carolina, which successfully prosecuted him for murder, are parties. So, only Murdoch and people who are the lawyers representing the state are allowed. In fact, Murdoch's attorneys, led by Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin, have argued Bland should not be allowed to participate in the proceedings. Quote, his stated intent is not to protect the personal interests of his clients as witnesses, but to advocate to sustain their verdict. To allow a publicity-seeking lawyer for non-victim private parties to intervene in this criminal case and advocate against Mr. Murdoch as an additional opposing party, would violate Murdoch's procedural due process rights. So having him there would violate Murdoch's rights, is what his attorneys are arguing. All right, so finally, we reached out to Bland to get his thoughts on the allegations against him. Quote, I have said that she is highly intelligent, the smartest person in the courtroom, but I do not personally like her, end quote. That's what Bland told Fitz News. Bland declined to address the specifics of the allegations against him. However, accusing this author of having lost objectivity, he ended the exchange by asking the author not to contact him again, and then went on a lengthy rant on social media attacking our media outlet. At this point, quote, at this point, I would ask that you no longer text me, end quote, Bland wrote. So he gave us some of his tweets or something here. So this is a tweet from Eric Bland after this exchange happened between him and Will Folks from Fitz News. So here's how my 2024 is beginning. Minding my own business this morning, working at my desk, I received 2 inflammatory text messages unsolicited from Will Folks. And that's the author of this article, and I think he owns Fitz News. All right, I'm not sure on that, but he's highly represented for Fitz News. He obviously is trying to start a war with me because of my support of my podcast partners, Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell. There they are. In fact, last week, he texted me and asked me how I can continue to support Mandy and Liz. I have no apologies for my support of Liz and Mandy. I think that there is just been too much back and forth hostilities about things that have nothing to do with justice and the Murdoch issues. I have participated in none of the issues. I have participated in none of the back and forth on Twitter or online regarding some of the personal issues that have been on Twitter about Will Folks. So I don't know what that's about. I don't want to get into the drama. So this is kind of a little drama, but it was published with the article, so that's why I'm going with reading it. I like to bring you more facts and court documents and things like that, news articles. I I don't like to bring the drama, but anyways, um, it must be because there is a lull in the cases and Fitz News is trying to fill the airways. I really question whether Will Folks wants to be a full-time objective journalist or just a pot stirrer. I really like Dylan Nolan, who works for Will. He is nice and professional, but I guess he can only do so much. I don't know what Will's agenda is at this point. He just seems to be incredibly jealous of the success that Liz and Mandy have had. I respect them both and what they have accomplished. It cannot be debated the impact that both of them, I just lost my place, both of them, sorry, have had on the uncovering many of the Murdoch facts. Will is obviously jealous that Mandy's success has been what? That's not a word. I think it means mediocre. And Will Folks, meteoric? Is that a word? I don't know. I've never seen that word before. Okay. I'm assuming it means the same thing. Okay, so and Will Folks has been left inhaling her exhaust fumes. All right, so he threatened me about opinions, and I have publicly addressed about former Chief Justice Jean Toal. My opinion about her have been consistent and have never changed. I believe that she is one of the, if not the smartest appellate court justices our state has ever had, and certainly should be admired for being a pioneer for women. I certainly don't like her temperament and the way she sometimes speaks to lawyers who appear before her, but those are my opinions, and it is her courtroom. I have disagreed with the manner in which she has treated my partner Ronnie and me on a matter that came before her in the early 2000s. So it seems like he kind of has a grudge against her already. Maybe not grudge, but sometimes you can't get over some things. So that is no secret as well. She reversed a lower court judge's opinion where he stated that our conduct was commendable and in the spirit of good lawyers. Bottom line is, I asked Will Folks to stop texting me and communicating with me. He is not worth it, and in time, Fitz News will die in due course if he continues to put petty disputes in front of him. So I don't know what the petty disputes are. I He says, I have said my piece. So I don't know. And like I said, I don't like to get into the drama and that kind of stuff, but because it was included at the end of his article, he did, I did want to go over it because that was a public tweet that Eric Bland had sent out. So let me know. Do you think Eric Bland should get sanctions for the things he said about Jean Toal, Judge Jean Toal, or do you think it was just taken out of context, or yeah, he has the right to say it because we have freedom of speech and he has a podcast. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.